Welcome to our council meeting for the 20th of April. We do have a quorum this morning, which is good. Plus we have a number of councillors on Zoom this morning. So to open our meeting today, Councillor Blackmore put her hand up to help with that this morning, and then she had a really good initiative to invite Ohakia, the chaplain from Ohakia Air Base, to come and join us, and I think that's very appropriate. And I'd also like to encourage that we add Ohakia to our list of Christian leaders who come and open our meetings for us. So Sam, welcome. He told me to call him Sam. He is the chaplain at Ohakia. He's very new. Welcome to the table. Come and join us, and look forward to hearing from you as well as opening our meeting.
He honore me kiruria ki te mātua i te rangi, he maungaronga ki te whenua, he whakaro pai ki ngā tangata katoa. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Good morning, Mayor Helen Warboys, Chief Executive Shane here, Shane Harris, and councillors of Manawatu District Council, particularly Lara for this invitation to come, media, public, whoever else is part of the cohort that helps serve this district. Look, I just want to initially say thank you for the opportunity to come. Yep, it was a very last minute thing. In fact, I was very surprised to get a phone call on Tuesday because it was just day 4 for me starting at Ohakia. I posted up from Woodburn. I thought, how on earth do you know I'm the chaplain here already? So Lara's got some good context from her prior time in the Air Force. And it is, I truly count it a privilege to come and say a few words to represent Ohakia, represent my faith, and to offer a prayer before your meeting. Particularly, of course, as we recognise next week the sacrifice of those who have gone before us, who have laid the foundation of freedom in our nation, and that work that continues. Things like service, duty, and willingness to give of ourselves in service of others are really important features of Anzac, and we want to commemorate those and remember those, particularly next Tuesday. So thank you for this chance. Look, I was asked a question of sort of what's happening at Ohakia, what's important to the people there. In lots of ways, defence is in some very challenging, but some also very exciting times. There's typically normally around about 1,000 people that live out or serve around on the air base, but that's increased and increasing still. We've had one of our main squadrons, number 5 squadron, our maritime patrol squadron, come down from Whenuapai fairly recently. There was a transition unit that was kind of established over the last year or so, but as of yesterday, we've had the formal change of command parade. So a new commander and 5 squadron effectively exist there now on base. They had the P3K Orions that do the maritime patrol and search and rescue, but now they have new P8 Poseidons. We've got 2 already on the lineup, but more are coming. We'll end up with 4. Ohakia has always been a fairly busy air base. It's where we do our pilot training. The Texans that no doubt you see buzzing around and doing formation, often they're there training our pilots. When pilots graduate their wings course there, they move either to fixed wing and go on the King Airs, the twin engine, before heading on to either the P8s or the C-130s or 75s on 40 Squadron in Whenuapai, or they go rotary where they head to 3 Squadron, which is also based in Ohakia, where we have A109 helicopters and NH90s. 3 Squadron have been incredibly busy doing a multitude of things. Recently, they were involved in support to the Hawke's Bay with the flooding there, which has been great for them to have that opportunity to serve in the cleanup there. They're regularly doing operations with Army, Navy, Special Air Services, and they also do an important search and rescue function nationally over land, as well as 5 Squadron who do search and rescue over waters. And it's truly not an exaggeration to say that on a regular basis, that work entails the saving of lives. And so it's a wonderful privilege for our people to be able to do that. This does mean, though, particularly in that search and rescue space, our personnel on duty for that have to be within half an hour of the airbase, which effectively means they fit primarily and live primarily within the Manawatu District Council, because Palmy is just slightly outside of that window. So you're probably well aware that a big chunk of our Air Force personnel live here in Fielding and around these parts. So yeah, it's important for us to have a good relationship. Finally, I'll just say attrition, you may be aware through public news on this already, but attrition is very high in Defence at the moment, right across the three services. There's a lot of things contributing to that, but there's also some good work being done by our leaders and politicians to look to address that. So hopefully that's going to change so we can continue to serve this nation. Look, just before I offer a prayer, give an opportunity also to say a few words of wisdom. So I'll share some words from the world's best-selling book. It says, "Let your conversation be always full of grace, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer everyone." And I was thinking about this idea of conversation seasoned with salt. What might that look like? Well, salt is something that brings out the good in a food, you know, adds that sort of flavour and enables the nice flavours of the food organically to kind of come out. And so I hope and pray that there's good, robust discussion that happens in this chamber. I think that's important. But I think it's also helpful to remember that that conversation seasoned with salt means that we're seeking to bring out the good in one another and an outcome in light of the discussion that's being happened rather than perhaps the opposite. Let me pray. Me inoi tātou. Heavenly Father, we come before you today in humility and faith. We thank you for all you have given us and the many blessings in our lives. We ask for your guidance and strength for this team of counsellors as they seek to serve our community. Show them the way and fill them with courage and wisdom. May their conversations today be seasoned with salt and full of grace as they seek solutions to the challenges of this community. Help us all to remember your love and grace and to be faithful in our service to you. Give us all the patience and understanding to face life's challenges with grace. We finish with the well-known Te Reo prayer. E te atua hamai ki a mātou, tō maramatanga, tō rangimarie, tō kaha me tō aroha mō tēnei rā, ki te ingoa ko ihu karaiti, Āmine. Lord, give us your knowledge, your calmness, your strength and love on this day, in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. We have a question, comment from Deputy Mayor Councillor Ford.
Thank you, Your Worship. Sam, it was my privilege to attend the change of command ceremony on behalf of Manawatu District Council yesterday. Most impressive it was too, and a pretty exciting chapter for Ohakea and for Manawatu region, and particularly our district. So it was a privilege for me to be part of it. I tend to prefer pepper rather than salt, but I'll try and take your words into account.
Thank you for joining us. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, very proud of the fact that Ohakea is in our district, in our patch. So very warm welcome to you and your family and to our community. And we look forward to seeing a lot more of you. So thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Mayor.
So moving on in our agenda, item 2, we have a full team here today. We have 4 councillors on Zoom and the rest here, so which is great. Item 3, requests for leave of absence. We have 2. One is for Councillor Quigley from the 26th of April to the 6th of May, and one is for Councillor Bell from the 21st to the 28th of April, both 2023. So if I could have a mover and a seconder for those. Councillor Ford moved, seconded by, I'm happy to second those. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. Thank you. Item 4, confirmation of minutes. We have a recommendation. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Ford.
Your Worship, I move that the minutes of the council meeting held 6th of April 2023 be adopted as a true and correct record.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor McFadyen, thank you. Put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Against? The motion is carried. Item 5, this is the declaration of interest and an opportunity for elected members to declare any interest that may create conflict in their role as an elected member, or any interest in items where they have a direct or indirect pecuniary interest. Any of the topics on our agenda today. Councillor Quarry.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. Yes, I've got to declare a conflict on item 11.2. I'm pleased to see it's on the agenda. It's been a while coming, but yeah, I feel very strongly in regard to that.
Thank you. Councillor McFadyen.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have a conflict of interest. I have a property that has been subdivided, approved for subdivision. I have not paid the development fees. It's not due yet.
Thank you. And Councillor Quigley.
Ditto, 11.2, I have a conflict of interest. I also have a property which would benefit greatly from something I might vote for today, so I'll sit it out.
Thank you. Anything further? No. Councillor Underwood.
I suppose I fall into the same category as Councillor Quarry. We've recently subdivided as well and paid the development contribution that I don't necessarily agree with.
Thank you. Just remember that this morning that topic is regarding deliberations of submitters as part of the ongoing process. We're not looking to adopt the policy this morning or today. Thank you. Thank you for those. Anything further? No. Right, this morning there is no public forum, no presentations or notification of late items, no recommendations from committees or information from committees. So we can go straight to page 13, the officers' report. The first one is 11.1, the district name alteration proposal. This is seeking to seek support for a request to the New Zealand Geographic Board to alter the district name from Manawatu district to Manawatu district, including the Macron. So I'll pass over to Gerald and Francis. Welcome.
Kei te koramato o te rā kei te kaunihera tēnā koutou katoa. Your Worship, Council, what we're asking, we'll take the report as being read. It's just what could be viewed as an administrative alteration to our current name, which we could probably enact with a minimal cost.
Thank you. Francis, is there anything you'd like to highlight or add?
Probably just that this would bring us in line with the Regional Council, who has already gone through this process and added the Macron to their name. So it's a relatively straightforward process. Consultation would happen with iwi as part of the process under the Geographic Board.
Thank you. So we have the report there. We'll take that as read and open it up for questions or comments. I guess my question is, while I support what you're seeking, the question I'm asking, does it have to be one or the other, or is there an opportunity for both versions to be used?
I think we could say at the moment that what we're trying to move towards is bring us in line with all the graphic standards. So really that's what the point of the crux of the matter is. So once we're in line with it, then we probably would be just the one.
Okay, thank you. Open it up. Councillor Bell.
Kia ora. I was actually just happy to move the recommendation if everyone feels okay with that.
Thank you. We've got a couple of comments here. Councillor Underwood.
From a teaching background, I'm happy for it to be corrected as in, to make it correct. My concern is the time that it's being done if there's going to be a cost, and I saw the cost referred to as minimal, and then later in the report it became modest. So those are relative terms, really, especially the second one. So my concern is that once it started, and I saw that there were going to be delays in all the signage being done, they were going to be done in time. If it was going to be a significant cost to the ratepayer when they are having trouble, dealing with interest rates hikes and putting food on the table, I think there would be a lot of angry people if their rates were to go up as a consequence.
Thank you. Pass it over to Shane.
It's not our intention to seek any additional funding for this. We will just upgrade our signage and everything as we need to. And it's not about a whole bolus approach. We will just phase it in as that signage would need to be upgraded anyway. So no additional funding, no impact on ratepayers. It will all be absorbed into existing budgets.
Thank you. Councillor Hadfield.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. It's quite interesting, really, the history of the macron. Derives, of course, from ancient Greek macron, M-A-K-R-O-N, which means long. Originally used to mark long or heavy syllables, actually, in Greco-Roman metric. So there you go. Today, of course, it's mostly marked a long vowel, and that's actually evidenced also in more recent times by even included in recent Latin dictionaries. So there you go, a little bit of history on the macron. I personally, I don't have an issue with a macron being added, but I would prefer the Geographic Board to recognise both, so that both are legally recognised. The other thing that I've actually got a bit of an issue with is the process, because I think the process is sort of about face in a way, because I note that we're looking for a recommendation here and then consult with iwi. And I note that the consultation with the community comes from the Geographic Board. Now, I believe that's inherently wrong. My view is that we should consult with iwi and the community before we actually make a decision and make a recommendation to the Geographic Board. So here's where I sit on this one, is that I won't support the motion in its current form. I will support the motion if it's a motion to the Geographic Board to recognise both. Otherwise, I think it's consultation with iwi and the community before it goes ahead. So I'll leave that with you.
Thank you. Any further comments? Councillor Short.
Thank you. To me, it's just housekeeping, really. The name Manawatu is a word from Te Reo Māori, and having the long vowel highlighted encourages the correct pronunciation, and probably on reflection, it's remiss that we didn't do this sooner.
Thank you. Councillor Belsky.
Yeah, thank you. I'm in the same thoughts as Councillor Hadfield. I think both names should be official, and I think we should, if it's not going to be, it definitely should be. The community should have a say in this. So I would vote against this recommendation, but would support one that did wait until we heard from the public if it's going to be just the one Manawatu name that's official. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Blackmore.
Thank you. And look, I'm no language expert, but I think this comes down to the fact that the word is currently misspelled. And if this was an English word that we had misspelt, we would correct it without consultation.
Thank you. So just for clarification, so is the legal process for this that the Geographical Board has to take consultation with the community? Or if I take Lara's point, Councillor Blackmore's point on board, so the process states that there must be consultation, A, with iwi and B, with our community.
The process, as I understand it, Your Worship, is that, yes, we need to do the process with the iwi, and then the Geographical Board itself will do the process with the wider community. And I assume that's because they want to ensure that before the Geographical Board goes down this path, that those who are, let's say, more au fait with the language, that they actually have a say in what it might be.
Thank you. And one of the councillors raised the question about why the difference that this is about our name, why the difference that council's not the driver to consult with our whole community, including iwi, rather than the geographical board.
I'm not sure. This is a process we have. Your
Thank
worship.
you. Shane.
The geographical board have their own processes they must follow.
Okay.
And if you recall, the last one was the change in the name from Nui or Wanganui, and the council adopted that, and then it went off to the geographical board, who then did a wider consultation through the Wanganui community, and then they accepted the name change. So they have their own process to follow, which includes the wider community. I mean, it does probably seem like consulting twice, but this really isn't about a name, though.
No.
Wanganui was about a name. This is about a macron over the top of the name.
Thank you. I guess, thank you for that explanation. I guess the bit that I'm thinking around is, if we're going out for consultation, why wouldn't we be talking to all of our community as well at the same time? So all of our community are well aware of why, the explanation, etc., rather than, well, the geographic board has to do it, so let them do it. But as a really good PR relationship with our whole community, that we would do it. And it's really we've learnt this morning about the reasons behind this, so that it's actually a really good education lesson to share with our whole community.
Your worship, Bridget would like to speak.
Councillor Bell.
Yeah, Councillor Bell.
Your worship, I just want to make a comment that when it comes to consultation, I think there are bigger things and quite large priorities that we have that we should consult the community on. I think a macron on a U probably doesn't need the wide community consultation. I also connected to what Lara's point of view is, that if we were to correct something in an English name, would we go to such lengths to do so? And lastly, before we go out for consultation, perhaps it's really pivotal that every single one in governance actually researches the name, where it comes from, what it is, so that when you're in your communities and you're speaking to or you're asking questions, you're correct with your information. If we do go down consultation, I do have a question. What's the cost of consultation when we go out to the wider community for you? Are we just going through the social media pages? What's the process that we're all thinking of when those that are in favour for a wider consultation?
Thank you. That's a good question. And if we follow your train of thought, why, and if it is just simply changing something that's incorrect, why do we even need to consult with iwi? And there will be a cost to that as well. Is it not something that if we approve this today, it's business as usual and it goes off through the process?
I can't speak on behalf of all of the iwi of Manawatu, but what I will say is that I doubt that we're going to get a lot of nuisance. I think it's a gesture because the iwi have the understanding of what that name means. I think it's a good gesture for iwi. I also think it's really good partnership. I think that sort of process in our partnership in our processes needs to be tidied up. And this is just one small example. I mean, I understand that there's a concern around when we go to iwi, we should go to all. But I think it's a positive thing for us to at least inform the iwi that this is the space. I don't see anyone from the 12 Marae pushing back and saying, no, we're not going to put a macron on the U. We want to leave it incorrect. So, but happy to hear other councillors' thoughts of the importance and the significance of going through a process of consultation for the wider community. If you honestly think it's an educational space, or is it just another hassle and another consultation fatigue that we're giving the wider community? And there are other aspects and priorities that we should be consulting the community on. That's bigger than a macron on a U.
Thank you. Councillor Ford.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm of the view that we should just get on with it and approve the recommendation. I think it's a very minor point and it's largely an administrative issue. I don't know how to put a macron on my typewriter, but someone can probably teach me. but I just think it doesn't warrant consultation or further discussion. I think Councillor Bell wanted to move the recommendation. I'd be happy to second if that proceeds. Thank you. Councillor Hadfield.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. Look, I don't have any issue, as I said, about the Macron. I agree that going to a wide consultation is as Councillor Bell says, probably actually unnecessary. And in any case, excuse me, in any case, in actual fact, that would be the responsibility of the Geographic Board, which still seems to me to be a bit dumb, really, in a way, because I would have thought that as a statutory body, it would be our responsibility to consult with our community, not some drongos from Wellington. But anyhow, clearly, look, my preference would be that we ask the Geographic Board to recognise both spellings. That would be my preference, but I'm getting the feeling that I probably don't have the support of colleagues on that. But that's my view. So as I've stated, that was my preference, and so I'm happy to support that. And I think, and don't take any offence, but I will vote against the motion as it stands. And in saying that, I'm saying I don't have an issue with the Macron. It's the process and the principle is what I believe is the case. So that's my position.
Thank you. Councillor Bell, would you like to move the motion?
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that the council submit a proposal to the New Zealand Geographic Board to alter the district name from Manawatu to Manawatu District.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Ford. No further discussion. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Against?
No.
Thank you. Those who voted in no, do you wish your votes to be recorded?
Yes.
No, thank you, Your Worship. I've stated my case and I'll happily move on.
Thank you. Councillor Quarry wishes to. Councillor Belsky, do you wish to have your vote recorded?
No, we just move on, thanks. It's just that I would like to see both names as official, but we just move on.
Thank you. So Councillor Quarry's name will be recorded. Thank you. Yeah. Right, so we're moving on to page 18. This is the deliberations on the development and financial contributions policy. So we have a summary of the submissions that were made to the draft policy. We also have the advice of the officers on these submissions and other aspects relating to it. So council does need to complete the process, and so that's what we're seeking to do today. We are not seeking to adopt the policy today. So a warm welcome to Shannon.
Good morning, everyone.
So just before we start the conversation, those councillors who did declare declaration of interest, if you could remove yourselves and sit at the back of the room, that would be appreciated. Thank you. So, so we have the report, we've read that. Thank you for that information, and I'm going to hand over to Shane, and welcome Shannon.
Yeah, just on that point,
Councillor
Your Worship. This is an interest that concerns a number of ratepayers within the district. I have been personally involved in it, but it's the same as paying rates. That my involvement is no different to the other ratepayers that have been caught up in this process, which I believe is deeply flawed. And I believe I still should have the right to at least speak to the points that are being raised here today.
Thank you. We'll seek advice around standing orders.
No standing orders require if there's a conflict of interest, then you have to withdraw from the table, not participate in the discussion. If it's a pecuniary conflict, then you have to leave the room completely. That's standing orders.
Thank you. So we will follow standing orders, Councillor Quarry.
This is no difference to an increase in rates that we all have to pay. Now, this is I could use a lot of strong words in regard to this policy and the way it's been implemented over the last 6 years.
Councillor, you declare a conflict, and so we must follow standing orders.
But the point is, the difference between voting and speaking to it are two different issues. Now, I believe I should at least have the right to speak. Whether I have the right to vote is another issue. But I believe this issue affects 8 to 10 ratepayers per year. So it is not just going to reflect on me, it's going to reflect on a number of other ratepayers. And therefore, they deserve to have their voice heard as well.
Thank you. I hear you, Councillor Quarry. However, we do have to follow standing orders, and also just reiterate, we are not looking to adopt a policy today.
Therefore, I should still be able to remain at the table.
Now, under standing orders, that's not permitted. I'm sorry. Thank you. Right. So, Councillor Ford.
Does the fact that we don't have a quorum at the table, is that an issue?
It will be in terms of any resolution that needs to be put. Yes.
So am I correct, Ash, you might help me here, that our councillors on Zoom are permitted to vote?
They can vote.
They can vote,
They
so
don't come towards quorum.
they don't, oh, okay.
So we don't have a quorum at the table.
But
Thank you, Councillor Blackmore.
Yeah, I'd like to maybe just ask a question on this, because as this is a new issue for me to look at, I would actually like to hear from the other councillors who have been around for this for the years it's taken to address. And so I wonder, particularly given we don't have a quorum, is if we could maybe take this off the agenda for today and look to the standing order that is actually preventing those people from sitting at the table and being part of the discussion, because I feel like I would really like to hear from them too.
Thank you. We are conscious that there are a number of new councillors here that for this is a lot of information to comprehend, and there is background to it as well. I'll look to you, Shane, for where we go with that.
Well, we do have an issue with a quorum at the table. So technically the matter can't proceed as it's laid out in the agenda. I mean, this is a formal meeting of council. My suggestion would be to remove it, and we will have to readdress it in some other forum where we can achieve a quorum, which would mean the councillors that are on Zoom are back at the table.
Thank you. And given that Councillor Blackmore has raised very valid point about being able to hear the background and discussion around this, would it also be useful to put it into a forum, potentially a workshop, where we can catch all of our councillors up to speed with where we've got with this?
Let me take some advice on that. A conflict is a conflict, so I want to take some advice. So if council just directs me to remove it from the agenda for today, and then I'll come back to you, Your Worship, with a recommendation of what forum we can put this into.
Thank you. Councillor Ford.
would it be possible, Mr. Harris, for when it comes back, to break it down into sections? Because I think that a number of councillors with conflicts of interest only have a conflict in relation to part of the policy, and actually they're different parts for different councillors. I'm just putting it forward as a possible way forward to help.
We'll certainly have a look at that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hadfield.
Yes, thanks, Your Worship. Look, I've certainly got some sympathy for the points that Councillor Quarry raised, because as Councillor Ford has rather eloquently said, there's different conflicts or perceived conflicts, and we must remember that a conflict is only a conflict if you actually declare or think you've got. And in terms of standing orders, and unfortunately, I haven't got enough screens in front of me to go straight to standing orders, but it makes total sense to me that the right to have a discussion is actually, in my view, paramount. Although the right to vote may not actually be technically correct. Anyhow, in supporting those gentlemen who have been my colleagues who have actually declared an interest, I think the simplest way for us to progress this is I'd just like to move that we leave this lying on the table.
Thank you. Whether we need to add to that recommendation to seek further advice?
Technically, no, because you haven't got a quorum. So we'll just remove this from,
True.
we'll remove
Even
this
a-
from,
even
the-
a motion without a quorum.
we'll remove
Council-
this from the agenda.
Yeah.
And we will take advices on how to bring it back to council.
Thank you, Councillor.
So just for clarification, Your Worship, do we actually need a motion to remove something from the agenda? Because actually,
No,
well,
because we don't have a quorum to vote on the motion.
well, let's all go and have a cup of tea and a lie down.
Thank you. But before I do that, Councillor Campbell.
Yeah, look, I'm not sure I agree with the chief executive's position on conflicts of interest, because I have not declared a conflict of interest on this matter, yet I have done a subdivision like half the council, and I think we're going to struggle anyway to find a quorum, because many of us have, been involved in subdivision work over the years. Now, it just seems to me that this matter, while we may personally have paid development contributions in the past, we're talking about a future policy here. And I don't see what that's got to do with.
I just remind the council, I didn't declare the conflict on behalf of the councillors. They did. All I am reminding council of is what is in standing orders.
Yeah, well, I'm just noting that I did not declare a conflict because I don't believe I've got one.
And then that's your right. That's your privilege as a councillor. But the other councillors did.
Yeah.
And so therefore that invokes standing orders. And I was just reminding council of what standing orders say.
Yeah.
Thank you. So on that basis, I will declare that we will leave this topic on the table.
I think, Your Worship, could we just take a slight adjournment? I'd just like to talk to our legal counsel who's here. I think I might have a way forward of how we could formalise this through the meeting. So if you could take a small adjournment, perhaps we can have a chat, Shannon and I, and then we'll come back.
Thank you. I think that's valuable, given that Shannon's made herself available today. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah, g'day, Grant. Yeah, no, you're a dag. Yeah, no, good on you. Yeah, I this
Right, we shall reconvene our meeting. Welcome back to those on Zoom. Hopefully, yes, you can now hear us and join us. Thank you. I'll hand it over to our Chief Executive.
Thank you, Worship. So councillors, we've had a discussion. Since there's been no discussion on this matter so far, in terms of the agenda item, and there's a resolution that's required to let it lie, the councillors that declared a conflict can come back to the table to take part in the discussion regarding letting the matter lie. Just the resolution. We can't go into a discussion in terms of the agenda item. So that gives us a quorum, and we'll be able to have that resolution to let the matter lie. We will then do some work to bring it back to council.
Thank you. So therefore, the only way forward for this is to put the motion that we let the matter of the deliberations on the Development and Financial Contributions Policy 2021 lie on the table.
Yes.
Mover, do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Ford, any discussion? Councillor Quarry.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I'll withdraw from voting on that.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Councillor Belsky, do you wish your vote to be recorded?
No, I was for that. It's,
Oh, okay, thank you. Right, motion is carried.
It's a long way to ring all here.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you, Shannon, for your time this morning. Unfortunately, we can't take that any further at this stage, but we look forward to seeing you again.
No, I look forward to it. I'll be back. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, so moving on, we're on page 174. This is our electricity procurement. Welcome, Hamish, to the table. You
Thank
have
you,
the
Your Worship.
document in front of you and hand it over to you.
Thank you. I'm about an hour ahead of schedule, so one of my team was going to be here as well, but he won't be joining us, I don't think. So thank you, Your Worship. This is very much an administrative. I'll let Kerry finish. Very much an administrative matter. We obviously we have electricity usage across all of council's activities and assets. So through from the wastewater, water treatment plants, the Makino pool, the admin building here, as well as our streetlights and all of our pump stations and everything that council owns and pays electricity for. What we've been doing over the last 6 or 8 years is effectively block buying with other customers, if you like. So it's a process which is managed through the all of government procurement team at MB. And you'll see there's reference in the document to tranche 21. So we did this last time and we had a shorter term contract, which gave us at the time in the market was a really good price for electricity procurement. And the time frame of that contract was to align with a larger group for a larger block buy this time around. So this this procurement is effectively it's a year ahead of the actual contract starting, which is all part of the getting the best deal for the customers, including MDC, whereby we can lock in or the power companies can lock in guaranteed load for a future period, which gives them certainty, which gives us some pretty good pricing. So the all of government procurement team have managed this process for us with our consent and permission. And so effectively what we're looking at doing is bringing in a new contract for a period of 49 months, which is their timetable they work with, as I think they're rolling up various customers to get the biggest buying block that they can. So it'll be a 49-month contract commencing in 1st of March next year. So between now and then, we've got our existing contract with our existing prices. Nothing changes there. This is just getting ahead of the game and locking in some, the best energy prices we can for the next 49 months. Excuse me. One change I need to make, you'll see in recommendation 2, it refers to a 37-month term. We're actually going back and forward with the all of government procurement team. They had, I'm not sure if they'd made an error or it was just a change in terms of the contract term they'd sought. So initially the recommendation that we had to put onto the council agenda was for the 37-month term for a total price of $2.1 million. That's been subsequently revised. They came back to us on Tuesday this week. And so Ash has got some further wording which aligns recommendation 2 to an additional, to a total of 49 months at a cost of just over $2.8 million. So happy to take any questions. It is an administrative process. We have to buy the power and using the all of government process, this is the best deal that we're going to get starting March of next year. So just one comment, sorry, the budget for future years, it's slightly higher than what we are paying now, but only slightly. So we can accommodate that within our existing budgets going forward. And then we'd make amendments as part of the long-term plan process, 2024-34. So thank you, Bishop.
Thank you. My question was around that, the minor variance to the annual plan. What are we talking roughly?
It's about 30,000 a quarter in terms of the pricing that we had. So this kicks in, like I say, in March next year. So we pick up the 4th quarter of the next financial year. So in terms of the total cost on next financial year's budget, it's reasonably small. And as I say, we'll pick up those additional costs as part of the long-term plan development. But it's coming off a low base because, I don't know, for the return councillors that may remember when we discussed this a couple of years ago, or 3 years ago now, we struck a really sweet spot in the market and we got an exceptionally good price. So that the increase isn't that high overall.
Thank you. Let's open that up for questions, comments. Councillor Underwood.
Just a matter of understanding. So you pay in advance for your power, and what about the usage and that kind of stuff?
Yes, so through your worship, we don't pay in advance, but you forward book effectively it's like a futures contract or a forward energy contract. So the power companies will bid for big commercial contracts. And so when they're looking at their next 3, 5, 10 years, they know they've got a certain amount of demand locked in for that forward period, which gives them, I guess, stability in terms of the generation and retail prices that they have to pay and can on charge. So we only pay for it when we use it during the term of the contract. You'll see that there's 3 different types of power. Ultimately, it's the same power, but it comes through effectively. One of them is for our streetlights in terms of what they call the distributed unmetered load. So that's basically what's the kilowatt rating of the street light, how many of them are there and how many hours a day are they on for, and it's a bulk cost. And then the other 2 components are for your standard electricity use as you have for this sort of property. And then the rest of it is in terms of those higher peak loads as we have in our more sort of industrial sites, like the wastewater plant, like the water plants, and like the Makino pool. So those are the different types of electricity contract. And as you'll see there, we've got a mix of Mercury and Meridian being recommended.
Thank you. Any further discussion, comments? Councillor Ford.
It seems to make sense to do this in such a big way through the all of government contract, etc. Do we have anyone independently looking at it to reassure us that we're getting a good deal? Someone knowledgeable, that is.
Short answer is no. I haven't taken the step of getting an external third party, but having worked with the all of government procurement team before, they have a number of checks and balances in there, and I'm confident that this is the best deal we're going to get. We're buying with, I think it's something like 35 other large entities as well. So we're getting a bulk price for that block buying power. So.
Thank you. That satisfies me. Easily satisfied.
Thank you. So if there's no further questions, comments, we have 3 recommendations there. There's number 2 has been amended to read as per on the screen, been updated. Do I have a mover and a seconder? I don't expect you to read the whole 3. Councillor Ford, do I have a seconder, please? councillor Blackmore. Any further discussion? If not, I'll put the motions. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Right, so we have no late items, so we can go straight to item 13, to public excluded business. And I wish to move a motion that the public be excluded from the following parts of the proceeding of this meeting, namely confirmation of minutes and release of public excluded resolutions to open session. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Ford. Put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion is carried. Thank you.